Everyone's asking me if I saw this coming, if I thought we were going to be this good, and the answer is no. Not that I didn't think we had a chance to be good, but I just couldn't have expected 12-1 out of the gate like this. We lost so many good players, and Devin transferred, and all the things everybody talked about. So it's a really funny conversation. Coaches are asking me how, or what happened that we didn't expect to happen. It's a couple things. We're deeper than I thought we'd be with James and Timmy coming back to the program. We were beaten on the road, and I think that's the biggest difference right now in sort of where we are, where I thought we might be. Because when I look at our schedule, you look at some really tough road. St. Thomas is a tough place to win. Cove Brown's a really tough place to win. Hollis, we've been very, very unsuccessful winning there the last couple of years. So I never expected those would all break our way. Oyster River, to the best of my knowledge, Souhegan hasn't won a boys basketball game at Oyster River in 8 years. So for all those things to happen the same year, you start to think the stars are lining up for you a little bit.
What do you think has surprised you most about this team?
I'd almost say it's not a surprise, but what's been the most enjoyable is the chemistry. How close they really truly are. Even today we have some, chippy moments in practice, which I actually think is a sign that kids are competing. But they move past it really quickly, and I think the last couple of years it tended to linger. If there was some drama, if there was some clashing, if there was even maybe some physical play that was a little over the top, it seemed to linger, and the whole practice would be bad, and it would go into the game the next day, and you could tell the locker room the next day that they weren't close. This group moves past it. They just don't get caught up in it. I think they're pushing each other. So it's not that we didn't expect it, but I think the difference in this team versus the last couple of years, and why I think we've been successful so far, is that they are close-knit. I think they know how to push each other's buttons without pushing it too far. And that's just not always true. It's not always easy. I do wish we'd seen Bedford early in the year and then sort of have, part of a season to adjust and to figure out how to try to attack them. The most interesting thing to me about Bedford is how well they're playing. That they started a little bit rocky and they really righted their ship, and they're probably as hot as anybody right now. And not just winning, but they're beating good teams on the road, at home. And as far as matchups, it's what we all knew back in November. They're as crazy a matchup as you could have, rotating two 6'8" kids with two 6'8" kids. Maybe one of them 6'7", one of them 6'9", but they're basically rotating 6'8" for 6'8". Nobody in New Hampshire has that, regardless of division. And then they have quality guards. You have a senior guard in Glassman who can really play, who's experienced, who is fighting for his chance to get into a Final Four. So, they're a really good, deep, difficult team to match up with for anybody. So like any other game, though, I think you try to look at where you think they might be vulnerable, where you might be a little bit stronger in something, and try to take advantage of that. But, one of the oldest jokes in coaching basketball is you can't teach height. We can't get any bigger Wednesday, Thursday than we are, so I also don't want the boys to take that as an excuse. We're not going to get out-rebounded because they're bigger. We're not going to get out-worked because they're bigger. We just have to find a way around that. Easier said than done. Playing them twice in 2 weeks is maybe an okay thing because they're going to be two tough, really tough games, and that's what I think you want in the last couple of weeks getting ready for the state tournament. So that's a bonus. Playing all that big height twice in 10 days, it's pretty tough.
It depends a lot on us because kind of like a test for us as far as like we're the #1 seed, and that was like some of the teams that we have been playing haven't been that great, but that was like our real big test for us, and we knew that Bedford was going to be big. Starting lineup like 6'10", 6'6", 6'7", a couple 6'6" getting off the bench, and we knew that we had to work it inside and stuff. And just a big test for us because we had been going to Bedford for a couple of years and just losing games, and we always wanted to get them. Last year we had a heartbreaker loss against them. We took it into overtime and just couldn't get. They got it away from us again, and that was big, and that was kind of a lot of motivation for us going in there. And
a couple stories about my brother, right? Being a 30-year New York City cop, I told you some of that. But one of my favorite memories of my brother growing up playing basketball was after college. When I got back home and played in men's leagues with my brother and all the guys I grew up with. And I was always that guy who remembered everybody from childhood. Remembered everybody we played against in high school and men's leagues. So we'd get to a game on a Thursday night, 9 o'clock, that's when our league played. And I was always the guy who was like, man, you have to watch out for number 12. Number 12 can shoot. You got to watch out for, number 10. He's going to get on the glass and rebound. And as I'd be going through this, my brother would be sitting there tying his shoes and be like, kid can't shoot, I got him. Like, oh, well, this kid can really get on the glass and rebound. Not tonight, he's not going to get a single rebound. Like, well, you got to watch this kid, he can really handle it. I was like, no, I'm going to check it. He won't do anything. And first of all, I'd be sitting there going like, okay, you can't go at everybody. But secondly, I'm a coach. I remember players. I remember teams. I said, you need to listen to me. And my brother would just be tying his shoes and be like, I got him. Not tonight. He can't do anything tonight. That's what made him a much better, tougher player than I ever was. Was that attitude and that mentality, and that's how we're going to take the floor tonight. Right? They're a good team. You don't get their ranking without being a really good team. They're big. Their guards can play. 5th seed in our league right now. Coming after us as the number 1 seed. They had a pep rally here tonight, this afternoon, to get ready for the Souhegan game. I mean, think how crazy that is. From 4 years ago to back-to-back 2 and 16 years for us, to now our opponents are having Friday pep rallies to get ready for us. That's who you are, right? Act like it, take the floor like it, play like it, wake up tomorrow morning 14-1. Ready to play?
Ready to play.
Together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Together!
Down and we let it slip through our fingers. I think that the playing away is definitely a factor. Their crowd was really into it, and especially the fact that we were up most of the first half, but then right before the end of the half, they kind of got on a run and had some energy. So they went into the locker room with energy, and also came out and they went on a 6-0 run and tied it up. Right, so it was a game right after they came out of the half. But also, like I said, eventually the shots aren't going to fall the whole entire game. Can't rely on jump shots the entire game, and after the first half, when we started cooling down from outside, then that's when we needed to realize we just need to start working it inside. And it's tough when they're that big, but you need to find ways around that. And people were saying the officials weren't very well, but you can never blame the officials. We let that one go.
I don't know if it was necessarily us. I think it was their coach and their moves that they made to defend against us. I mean, we're varsity basketball players. They're running a box and one on Lenny, leaving four of our guys wide open. So any varsity basketball player should be able to make those shots, and that's what we did. We had 6 threes in the first quarter. We just came out shooting, and it was more their adjustment. Not that we could have. I mean, I would assume if they had stayed in the same defense, we probably could have sustained that the whole game because you make wide open shots. But it was the adjustment to stretch the 2-3 zone out that really kind of rattled us and got us out of our game. Yeah, I don't know how I feel because obviously, I mean, it's good to experience that loss. You know how it feels like, so you never want to be put in that same position. But this late in the season, you know, it's a tough loss because we knew our guys are great with math, and we've been doing like the standings and stuff, and we knew if we win that game, we were guaranteed first place if we went out from there. So it you know, it meant a lot to us, and losing that game away. It's just tough. I mean, the locker room after was dead. Everyone was down because we knew how much that game meant to all of us. But I think it definitely was a good learning experience, especially for some of the guys who haven't played on varsity last year. I know myself and a couple other kids, we went through that loss at UNH with the buzzer beater win from Portsmouth, so we know the feeling. It's just hard to get through, but I mean, we're good now. We've gotten past it, and we're going to be ready for them on next Wednesday.
Yeah, we needed a bit of a wake-up call, but not in the place of a loss. I think that, like, you know, maybe if we came out of the gate and got smacked, like, and then at half we went in down at the half, I think that would have been better because we would have come out more fired up. Because I think we're a really good second half team. You know, we come out and kind of get things going, get the blood flowing and things like that. But that loss, it definitely was a wake-up call, and I think that was something we needed. But that record is really important to us because it's really, I can't remember the last time had 2 home playoff games, and I know that, and I know that everyone might also say that we all play better when we're at home, crowd behind us and everything.